Okay, welcome to chapter number 13 in the Trading with Market and Volume Profile course. We're going to be talking about market profile composites. So this is a very unique thing with TPO charts, as we're going to see, and is going to be something very useful in order to master. As of the making of this video, TradingView doesn't yet have this ability enabled in their platform. I'm sure they'll probably be working on this and putting out updates, which I'll make a YouTube video if something like that would come out. But for the moment, you can use Sierra Chart or any other professional platform for this functionality. So let's talk about what are composites. So it is possible to join 2 or more sessions or days of TPO charts. You can notice, just a little side note, I talk about sessions/days. I do this because, like I talked about before, if we're trading like crypto or Forex markets or CFDs, we're going to probably be talking about days. The same with stocks. With stocks, you're mostly just going to be focusing on the regular stock market hours. But when it comes to futures trading, a lot of people are going to be looking at the extended hours or Globex and the regular market hours if they're trading CME futures in, for example, the S&P or NASDAQ. So that's why I always make this distinction, okay? But pretty much, you can have TPO charts and volume profiles either for separate daily sessions in futures or just for the entire trading day when it comes to other markets. Okay, so the composites are a very useful technique to find balance overlap areas where we can generate more macro point of control and value areas to help us determine when value is migrating from balance to imbalance. So the composites are mainly going to be used not in trending movements, but in consolidations. When we see that we have 2 or more TPO charts where they're side by side, or we have like an inside day, for example, where value is pretty much overlapping within the same prices. Technically, if you're looking at weekly, monthly, or other periodic TPOs, these are in essence composites of various days. So there is like a set periodic composite profiles if we were looking at, for example, a weekly TPO, a monthly TPO. Just like with volume profile as well, you can look at weekly volume profiles, monthly, etc. However, the real value in composites is to create your own, again, in a discretionary approach to help us analyze trading environments better when we see overlap in value areas. Creating composites, it's pretty subjective. So it will take some screen time and practice to learn to discern the best ways to go about it for your strategy. But in general, just keep it simple. Just merge profiles that clearly look to be in a sideways consolidation. Okay, now let's go look at some screenshots and more theory before we jump into Sierra chart just to look at some actual charts. So this is examples of just periodic composites. This is the the S&P market, and you can see here we have this daily profile. So you can see we have an imbalance. Then we had this balance period right here, imbalance move up, then another balance period, a little migration up, then another balance period higher, etc. Okay, then if we take this same chart, but now we want to see it as a weekly, so pretty much 5 daily profiles together from Monday through Friday, this is what we would get. So these are weekly TPO composites. And what we have is basically each one of these TPOs is Monday through Friday, so you can clearly see the value migration or the trend up. Then up here we do have now a 3-week consolidation, pretty much sideways, with this composites here. Okay, and the point of doing the composites is that we want to be able to identify when price is either breaking out or finding an imbalance outside of value, or when we're accepting back into a previous value area. And then this will be the monthly profile. So you can see here, we're taking 4 weeks now to create just one massive monthly TPO profile. And in this case, we have this huge areas, this huge node areas. So then the edges of these areas would be very, very significant levels that we would want to be tracking when we are doing our trading. If we have a market that's trending down and we come within this monthly high volume node area here, then we will be looking for, consolidation or acceptance in here, retests from the edges, going into the points of control, going into the bottom areas of these ledges, etc. If we have here, so this is an example how we would take a 3-day balance profile. So if we have this 3 trading days, you can see how the valley areas are all overlapping. We have 2 points of control that are almost the same over here. So we would join this 3 days and we would come up with this 3-day composite, and you can see we have a big fat valley area in here from this 3 joint composites. So then what we will be looking for is, let's say on the 4th day, or actually we had the close on the top here, so the 4th day would open here, but then we're going to be looking, okay, are we going to have continuation up, or are we going to take this, high volume node edge here, and then if market comes up and accepts here, we'll probably see a move back into the value, the point of control from this 3-day composite right over here. The main uses for composites are to identify when price is breaking out of balance. So if we see this market, we've had mostly sideways movement, and then on this day number 6, we had a very impulsive move and a close on these values outside here. So we can form a composite from this 5 days. And then if we do that, it will look like this. So we have this very wide valley area from this 5-day composite right over here. And then you can see on day 6 we open here, and then we have a very clear breakout. We leave this singles here and we're closing outside. So now on the next day we're looking for continuation in the direction of the movement, or if we would break down here, then we are looking for acceptance and then just to move back into the previous balance area right over here. Okay, we have here, for example, a market where there's a clear balance state, imbalance, balance again, imbalance, and then we not only use this to identify breakouts, but also once we do have an impulsive or a trending move, we can use the composites to set targets or look for areas where price is probably going to be sticking or finding, some friction and consolidation. So as you can see right here, when price breaks out from this balance here, we would be looking left, and then we see we had a consolidation over here. So the other main use, if we identify a breakout and imbalance, then we can look for a composite target where market can be looking for new areas of fair value. And we can generate a composite point of control in value area as levels where price would target. So in this case, again, we have this whole balance, imbalance. We form a little balance at the bottom, imbalance again. So now when we're coming up here, we can make a composite of this entire area to help us set targets for this. So you can see right here, we created a composite from all those profiles that were back here. So we have a value area high, low, point of control. And so when price is coming up, you can see how the high from this move was exactly right around the point of control from this composite of like about 6 days that we had formed. And once we hit this area, you can see how market cools down and calms down a bit, and we start sort of trading within this value area from the composite over here. Okay, so now let's go into some charts and just look at some live examples of how we can make use of this. Okay, so for example, let's look at the SP 500 market. This is daily composite, daily TPO. So each TPO is the 23 hours of trading in the ES futures. And you can see how we had an impulsive move up here, and then we had a very clear balanced area that formed right around here before we started again the next impulsive imbalance trending move to the upside. So then over here, once we identify that this market is starting to consolidate sideways, we can start forming a composite. Okay, so now for this, each trading platform is going to have its own way of doing it. In Sierra chart here, what I like to do is, let's say we're going to form a composite starting between here and here. So we're going to take between November 19 up to December 6. So what I do is I right click and I put merge with prior profile. So I have this one now, merge with prior profile, and I'm just going to keep clicking this, and you can see how this profile is starting to get thicker and thicker. Let me actually take off the singles and the poor highs and lows from this. But for this, I would just go into market profile settings, and down here in this section, you can see I have extend value area point of control until end of period, extend singles, poor high, low. I'm just gonna click this and put none. So that's going to take them off. I'm just going to take them off because now when you merge them, then it's going to look a little bit messy. So I'm just going to continue, merge with prior, merge with prior, merge with prior. So you can see how now we're starting to make a very significant right there. So I'll just leave it right there. So you can see how now we have this big fat TPO that is formed from about 8 trading days that we just merged. So we have a big node here in a valley area, And now you can see how on this day we opened right outside of valley area from the composite, and we closed right on top, pretty much right near the highs from this composite. And then after that, you can see that this was a clear breakout sign from value. And then from there, we just started trending, and you can see every day now we have a higher close from the open, higher close from the open, higher highs, higher lows. So we started a clear trending movement right over here. And if I go here and I just click undo all merges in profile, we now have again all this individual daily TPOs already unmerged. If we go just into a time-based chart, this is let's do a 1 hour chart. If we go into a 1 hour chart on the SP futures, you can see that pretty much that area that we merged was pretty much this period right here. So you can see how we had this impulsive move here. Here we had a little balance, but then we had this move up. But then clearly we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 10 days of movement that was pretty much a range of about 45 points in the S&P, which, that is not a very big range to be trading in for almost 2 whole weeks. And then finally, that day that we measured was the close right here, and that started this whole trending move out of value right over there. If we go here for another example, let's look at Bitcoin market profile. You can see how here we have this impulsive move or imbalance downwards. We created this sideways consolidation. We broke down, had a little sideways move before we broke down even further. But then you can see here we had a move back up right into this previous balance area. So if we're trading this, we can say, okay, I'm going to take this 5 trading days here, because on the 6th day we did break below balance and started this move down. So let's take this 5 days and do a composite merge. So once we broke out here, we can use this as a guide for a target. And so in this case, we do the same. I right click, merge with prior, merge with prior, merge with prior, merge with prior. And then you can see right here, well, we can even merge this one as well. Those 6 days. And then you can see how we have this big valley area right here. And so when this market started trending up, we can have a projection of this valley area and the point of control. And you can see how right here we hit this point of control target. And you can see how as soon as we came up into this previous consolidation area, price started trading sideways again. So if I extend this valley area that we formed, you can see how the market spent a lot of days again consolidating here before we had our breakout. And then again, we had a very thin move here, a low volume node. So this was a very quick move until we hit more areas of more balance between buyers and sellers, etc. Okay? But then you can see right here how these composites are also very useful in terms of setting up targets as well. Okay? So that's pretty much it for the video. We're going to talk more about composites later as well, once we go into future strategies towards the end of the course. But that's it for this video, and I'll see you all in the next one.